The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber glittered under three suns. Inside, the air was tense as representatives from over 200 species watched High Counselor Gray deliver his speech. His tall, silver-skinned form towered over the central platform, four arms gesturing dramatically as he spoke. Earth's ambassador, James Walker, sat quietly in his chair, maintaining a perfect poker face. Inside, however, his heart raced as he listened to what amounted to a declaration of war wrapped in diplomatic words. The human species has demonstrated concerning levels of technological advancement, Gray announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. Their military capabilities have grown beyond acceptable levels for an emerging civilization. We cannot risk another incident like the Proxima incident. Walker's jaw tightened at the mention of Proxima. 3 months ago, pirates had attacked an Earth colony. The pirates had expected easy prey. Instead, Earth's defense forces had destroyed the entire pirate fleet in less than an hour. The Council had been shocked by the efficiency of Earth's military response. Therefore, Gray continued, the Council demands that Earth surrender its independent military forces and accept protectorate status within 30 standard days. This is not a request. This is an ultimatum. Murmurs filled the chamber. Walker stood up, his plain black suit a stark contrast to the elaborate robes of the alien representatives around him. The Council recognizes Ambassador Walker of Earth, announced the protocol droid. High Counselor, Walker said calmly, Earth respectfully declines to surrender its sovereignty. We have the right to self-defense under Article 7 of the Galactic Charter. Gray's four eyes narrowed. The Council has already voted, Ambassador. This is not a negotiation. Earth's military capability has grown too quickly. Your species is too unpredictable, too violent. We have seen how quickly you adapt our technology for warfare. We adapt technology for defense, Walker corrected. Earth has never attacked another species. We've only protected our colonies from pirates and raiders. Colonies that the Council failed to protect, despite your obligations under the Charter. A low growl emerged from Gray's throat. Your species emerged from its gravity well less than 50 years ago. Yet already you have weapons that can challenge Council authority. This cannot continue. Walker smiled slightly. Are you afraid of us, High Counselor? The chamber went silent. Gray's silver skin darkened with anger. You dare. Because you should be. Walker continued quietly. Not because we're violent, not because we're unpredictable, but because we will never surrender our freedom. Earth remembers its history. We remember what happens to civilizations that give up their right to self-defense. The answer is no. Then you leave us no choice, Gray snarled. You have 30 days to reconsider. After that, the Council will take action to contain the human threat. This session is adjourned. Walker maintained his composure as he left the chamber. Only when he reached the privacy of his office did he allow himself to smile. He activated his quantum communicator, establishing a secure link to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Taylor, he said, the Council took the bait. They've given us 30 days. Excellent, came the reply. Operation Shadow Fleet is ready. Gray has no idea what he's walking into. He thinks we're just some violent species that got lucky with stolen technology, Walker said. He has no idea we've been preparing for this since first contact. Let them underestimate us, Taylor replied. It'll make our response even more effective. Have you sent the coded message to our allies in the Council? Already done. 5 species will abstain from any military action against Earth. That's a quarter of the Council's fleet out of the equation. Perfect. Start your evacuation, Ambassador. Things are going to get interesting in 30 days. Walker looked out his window at the Council city below. Such a beautiful place, he thought. Such a shame it was run by fools who thought they could bully humanity into submission. See you in 30 days, Admiral, he said. Earth remembers. Earth remembers, Taylor replied. And soon, the Council will too. Walker ended the transmission and began packing his office. In 30 days, the galaxy would learn a valuable lesson. never threaten a species that had spent its entire history preparing for threats. Earth hadn't survived countless wars, disasters, and challenges by being weak. The Council thought they were dealing with a young, naive species. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, hidden among countless chunks of ice and rock, Admiral Taylor stood on the bridge of the EDS Revenge. Through the massive view screen, he watched as hundreds of ships performed silent combat drills. Their dark hulls, covered in light-absorbing materials, made them nearly invisible against the black of space. "Status report," Taylor ordered, his weathered face reflected in the dark glass of his command console. "All ships report ready, Admiral," replied Commander Ross. "The stealth systems are working perfectly. Council sensors still read this area as empty space." Taylor nodded. Earth had spent 20 years building this fleet in secret. While the Council thought humans were just learning to use alien technology, Earth's scientists had been taking it apart, improving it, and rebuilding it with innovations no alien had ever considered. "Show me the new weapons test," Taylor said. The main screen switched to a live feed from the testing range. A derelict alien cruiser, salvaged from an ancient battlefield, floated in space. A small Earth ship approached it. "Testing bioneural targeting system," announced the weapons officer. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. The Earth ship fired a single shot. The beam looked like standard plasma weaponry, but it wasn't. The shot curved in space, avoiding the alien ship's shields completely, and struck directly at the ship's power core. The derelict cruiser exploded silently in space. "Perfect," Taylor said. "The Council relies too much on predictable energy patterns. They'll never expect weapons that can think and adapt mid-flight." Commander Ross checked her tablet. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Ambassador Walker." The Council took the bait. Taylor allowed himself a small smile. 20 years of preparation were about to pay off. Earth had known this day would come ever since they discovered the Council's secret directive about containing emerging civilizations that grew too powerful. "Launch the decoys," Taylor ordered. "Let's make sure the Council's spies see exactly what we want them to see." Across Earth's solar system, carefully crafted scenes began to play out. Ships were moved into obvious positions. Military bases made a show of powering down their defenses. Earth was putting on a performance of a civilization preparing to surrender. In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Thomas activated the quantum communication network. Unlike standard Council technology, this system used principles the aliens had never discovered. Inspired by quantum entanglement studies of marine life, Earth's scientists had created an unhackable communication system. "All hidden bases report ready," Dr. Thomas reported to Taylor. "Production of bioneural torpedoes continues at maximum capacity. The Council's eye will never be able to predict their attack patterns." Taylor walked to the tactical display, studying the holographic map of the solar system. Red dots showed the Council spy satellites they had allowed to survive. Blue dots marked the positions of Earth's hidden fleet. "Begin Operation Ghost," Taylor commanded. "I want our ships in position before the Council's fleet arrives." Across the Kuiper Belt, ships began to move. Their dark hulls absorbed all light, their engines left no trace, and their crews operated in perfect silence. They took up positions behind planets, inside asteroid fields, and in the shadow of moons. In his private quarters, Taylor opened a secure channel to Earth's Defense Council. "Phase 1 is complete. The Council believes we're preparing to surrender. Their spies are reporting exactly what we want them to see." "Excellent," replied the Council President. "What about the new defense systems?" "The planetary shield network is fully operational but dormant. The Council won't detect it until it's too late. Our reverse-engineered technology has surpassed their original designs in every way." Taylor looked at the collection of old photographs on his wall. They showed centuries of human warfare, from ancient battles to modern conflicts. Each image represented lessons learned, strategies developed, and victories won against the odds. "The Council thinks we're young and inexperienced," Taylor said quietly. They don't understand that every war in our history has taught us something. Every battle has made us stronger. Every conflict has forced us to innovate. He turned back to the tactical display, watching his fleet move into perfect ambush positions. They see us as children playing with borrowed weapons. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our minds. The timer on his display showed 28 days until the Council's deadline. 28 days until the galaxy learned why you should never corner a species that had spent its entire existence learning how to survive against the odds. The Council's peacekeeping fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 500 ships strong, their silver hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight. At their center, the massive command ship carried High Counselor Gray himself. Status report on Earth's defenses, Gray commanded, his 4 eyes fixed on the main display. Their military satellites are powered down, reported his chief officer. Long-range scans show their fleet gathered near Mars. Approximately 50 ships, all showing minimal power signatures. Gray's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. Pathetic. They really are going to surrender. On board the EDS Revenge, hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon, Admiral Taylor watched the Council fleet's approach. His ship's quantum sensors provided a perfect view, while remaining completely undetectable. All ships maintain position, Taylor ordered quietly. Let them get closer. Let them think they've won. The Council fleet moved forward with perfect formation, their AI systems coordinating every movement with mechanical precision. They passed Neptune's orbit without detecting a single threat. Send the warning message, Gray ordered. Let them know their time is up. The Council's message boomed across all frequencies. People of Earth, your deadline has expired. Surrender your military forces immediately or face the consequences. Earth's visible fleet near Mars powered down their weapons. Right on schedule. They're surrendering, Gray announced triumphantly. Just as I predicted. These humans are all show. No. His words cut off as alarm screamed across his bridge. Behind his fleet, dozens of ships suddenly appeared, emerging from their hiding places among the outer planets. More ships rose from the asteroid belt, their dark hulls finally reflecting light as their stealth systems deactivated. Impossible, Gray shouted. Where did they? Enemy ships approaching from all vectors. His tactical officer reported, panic in his voice. Our rear guard is under attack. Taylor's voice cut across all channels, broadcasting to both fleets. Council vessels, this is Admiral Taylor of the Earth Defense Force. You were warned not to threaten Earth. Now you'll learn why. The hidden Earth fleet opened fire, but instead of normal plasma beams, they launched the new bioneural torpedoes. The Council's eye-controlled shields, programmed to block standard weapon patterns, failed completely. Their weapons are changing course mid-flight, screamed a Council officer. The defense AIs can't predict their patterns. Taylor watched as the Council's perfect formation broke apart. Their ships, too dependent on AI coordination, couldn't adapt to Earth's unconventional attack patterns. Launch Phase 2, Taylor ordered. Smaller Earth ships darted between the Council vessels, their human pilots outmaneuvering the predictable AI movements. More Earth ships emerged from hiding, each attacking from a different angle, their weapons striking with devastating accuracy. On his command ship, Gray watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. Impossible. Their technology shouldn't be this advanced. Their tactics make no sense. We've lost 30 ships already, reported his tactical officer. Our AIs can't calculate their attack patterns. They're using human pilots. Of course we are. Taylor's voice came through again. Did you really think we'd trust our survival to predictable machines? The Council fleet tried to regroup, but Earth's ships were everywhere, striking from impossible angles, their weapons bypassing shields that had never failed before. Fall back, Gray ordered. All ships, emergency retreat. But it was too late. Earth's fleet had surrounded them, cutting off their escape routes. The mighty Council Armada, pride of the galaxy, was being torn apart by ships that shouldn't even exist. "This is your only warning," Taylor announced to the remaining Council ships. "Leave our solar system now, or be destroyed. Earth is not your protectorate. We are not your servants. We are your worst nightmare." Gray watched as his fleet, reduced to less than half its original size, turned to flee. His hand shook as he realized the truth. They hadn't been dealing with primitive copycats of Council technology. They had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had spent 20 years preparing for this exact moment. As his command ship turned to retreat, Gray finally understood his mistake. He hadn't been dealing with an emerging civilization. He had been dealing with humanity. And humanity had been ready for war since before they left their planet. 3 days after defeating the Council fleet, Earth launched its counterattack. Admiral Taylor stood on the bridge of the EDS Revenge, watching as his fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace. "All ships report ready," Commander Ross announced. "The Council still hasn't detected our approach routes." Taylor nodded. "Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Target their primary shipyards first." Across the galaxy, Council military bases received an urgent alert, multiple unknown ships appearing from hyperspace. But by the time the warnings reached command centers, Earth's ships had already begun their attack. At the massive shipyards of Beta Centauri, Council workers watched in horror as dark ships appeared seemingly from nowhere. Their stealth technology, reverse-engineered and improved by Earth's scientists, made them almost invisible until the moment they struck. "Their defense grid is active," reported Lieutenant Parker from his small attack ship. "But their AI can't track us, moving in for the strike." Earth's ships darted between the massive construction platforms, while Council ships moved in rigid, predictable patterns controlled by their AIs. Human pilots flew wild, unpredictable routes that no computer could anticipate. "Status report," High Counselor Gray demanded from his emergency command center. "How many bases are under attack?" "7 major shipyards," his aide reported nervously. 3 weapons research stations, 2 fleet command centers, all at the same time. It's impossible." But it wasn't impossible. Earth had spent years studying Council defense patterns, finding their weak points, and preparing for this moment. At the Council's primary research facility, Dr. Thomas led a team of Earth commandos through the corridors. Their armor, designed to fool Council sensors, made them appear as maintenance robots. "Download everything," Thomas ordered as they reached the central computer core. "Every piece of technology they've been keeping from Earth." While the Council had shared some technology with Earth, they had kept their most advanced developments secret. Now, Earth was taking what had been denied to them. Back in space, Taylor's fleet continued its precision strikes. Earth ships targeted key facilities with surgical accuracy, disabling rather than destroying when possible. "Sir," Commander Ross called out, "we're receiving transmissions from several Council member species. They're asking to open diplomatic channels." Taylor allowed himself a small smile. This was part of the plan too. Show Earth's strength, but also show restraint. Prove the humans weren't the mindless warriors the Council had painted them as. "The Council's fleet bases at Proxima and Sirius are neutralized," reported Captain Wilson. "Their ships never even got off the ground. Our biomural weapons completely confused their defensive AI. The Council had never imagined this scenario. Their mighty empire, built on the assumption of technological superiority, was being systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitive." In his command center, Gray watched helplessly as reports flooded in. Earth wasn't just winning battles, they were reshaping the entire balance of power in the galaxy. "How?" he demanded. "How did they plan all this?" "Counselor," his aide said quietly, "we're receiving reports from our inner colonies. Earth ships are appearing there too, but they're not attacking. They're broadcasting messages, showing our people proof of your lies about humanity." Taylor watched the tactical display as more and more Council facilities fell under Earth's control. But unlike the Council, Earth's forces weren't destroying their targets. They were disabling them, capturing them, showing the galaxy a better way. Send the message to all Council worlds, Taylor ordered. Tell them exactly what we told them 30 days ago. Earth remembers. Earth survives. And Earth will never bow to tyranny. Across the galaxy, billions of alien beings watched their screens as Earth's message played. They saw the truth about humanity, not the violent savages they had been told about, but a species that had mastered the art of war precisely so they could preserve peace. The Council's mighty empire was crumbling, not through brute force, but through the perfect combination of strength and wisdom that humanity had learned through countless centuries of conflict and resolution. And it was only the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was no longer the orderly place it had been just weeks ago. Representatives from dozens of species argued loudly, their voices echoing off the crystal dome above. The empty seat where High Counselor Gray should have been only added to the chaos. Ambassador Walker entered the chamber, his calm stride contrasting with the pandemonium around him. The same aliens who had sneered at him a month ago now moved aside, watching him with a mixture of fear and respect. "Order!" shouted Council Elder Green, her crystalline form glowing with stress. "We must have order." The chamber gradually quieted as Walker took the speaker's position. He placed a small device on the podium, and holograms filled the air around him. They showed surveillance footage of Gray's secret meetings, proof of his lies about humanity. "Members of the Council," Walker began, his voice steady. "For years, High Counselor Gray told you that Earth was a threat. That we were violent, unpredictable, dangerous. He wasn't entirely wrong." Murmurs filled the chamber, but Walker continued. "We can be dangerous. We can be fierce. But only when threatened. Only when pushed. What Gray didn't tell you was why he really feared Earth." New holograms appeared, showing Earth's ships helping evacuate civilians from Council worlds during the attacks. Other images showed Earth's forces disabling military installations without casualties, protecting civilian areas, showing mercy to surrendered forces. "Gray feared us because we proved his entire system was built on lies," Walker said. "He claimed advanced technology could only be trusted to ancient species, but we took that technology and improved it in ways he thought impossible." The representative from Proxima, one of the younger Council species, stood up. "Earth's forces could have destroyed our shipyards. Instead, they disabled them with minimal damage. They protected our civilian centers. This is not the behavior of savages." More representatives stood, sharing similar stories. Earth's precise, careful attacks had proven their true nature. They had the power to destroy, but chose to show restraint. In his hidden bunker on a distant moon, Gray watched the Council broadcast with growing anger. "Launch everything we have left," he ordered his remaining loyal commanders. "Destroy Earth before they can." His transmission cut off as the bunker's doors opened. Admiral Taylor walked in, flanked by Council security forces and several alien representatives. "It's over, Gray," Taylor said quietly. "Your own people turned you in. They saw the truth." Back in the Council chamber, Walker received the news of Gray's arrest through his earpiece. He allowed himself a small smile before continuing his address. "Earth proposes a new way forward," he announced. "No more artificial barriers between species. No more hoarding of technology. No more treating younger civilizations as children who can't be trusted." The chamber erupted in applause. Even Elder Green's crystalline form pulsed with approval. "But," Walker added, his voice growing stern, "know this. Earth's fleet remains ready. Our forces are still watching. We will never again allow any power to threaten our independence or the independence of any peaceful species." The Proxima representative spoke again. "We propose an immediate vote. Remove all restrictions on emerging civilizations. Share technology openly. And," she paused dramatically, "offer Earth a permanent seat on the Council's leadership committee." Walker looked around the chamber. The same aliens who had condemned humanity now nodded in agreement. Earth's show of power, tempered by mercy and wisdom, had changed everything. "We accept," Walker said, On one condition. The seat must rotate among all species, not just Earth. The time of artificial hierarchies is over. In Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Taylor watched the Council broadcast with satisfaction. "Send the order to our fleet," he told Commander Ross. "Stand down from combat positions, but maintain defensive patrols." "Do you think they've really learned their lesson?" Ross asked. Taylor looked at the screen, where Walker was shaking hands, or appendages, with representatives from dozens of species. "They've learned the most important lesson of all," he said. "Never mistake kindness for weakness." The galaxy was changing. The old order was falling. And humanity, the species that had been dismissed as primitive just months ago, was leading the way to a better future. High Counselor Gray stood on the bridge of his last remaining command ship, surrounded by the remnants of his once mighty fleet. 200 ships, crewed by his most fanatical supporters, prepared for one final assault on Earth. "They think it's over," Gray snarled to his commanders. "They think they've won. But I'll show them what happens to species that don't know their place." On Earth, the planetary defense grid detected the approaching fleet immediately. Admiral Taylor, who had been preparing for this possibility, activated the emergency response network. Gray's making his last stand, Taylor announced to the combined Earth and Allied Council forces, just as we predicted he would. Commander Ross studied the tactical display. He's gathered every ship still loyal to him. They're on a direct course for Earth. "Good," Taylor said quietly. "Time to end this once and for all." Gray's fleet dropped out of hyperspace just beyond the moon's orbit. Their weapons charged immediately, preparing to overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer firepower. But Earth was ready. "Activate the planetary shield," Taylor ordered. Across Earth's surface, thousands of hidden generators hummed to life. A shimmering blue barrier formed around the planet, using technology that Earth's scientists had developed in secret for decades. "Impossible," Gray shouted as his sensors detected the shield. "Their technology can't be this advanced." "All ships, attack formation," Taylor commanded. From behind Earth's moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt, Earth's fleet emerged. But they weren't alone. Ships from a dozen Council species joined them, their crews having chosen to stand with Earth against Gray's tyranny. The combined fleet was twice the size of Gray's forces. "You're outnumbered, Gray," Taylor's voice boomed across all channels. "Your own people have turned against you. Surrender." "Never." Gray activated his ship's weapons. "All ships, open fire. Destroy them all." The space around Earth erupted in battle. But unlike the previous encounters, this time Earth's forces weren't trying to disable or capture. This was the final battle, and they fought to win. Earth's bioneural torpedoes tore through Gray's fleet. The human pilots, now joined by alien crews who had learned their techniques, flew circles around the rigid AI-controlled ships. "They're breaking through our lines," Gray's tactical officer shouted. "Our AI can't predict their movements." Taylor watched from the EDS Revenge as Earth's superior tactics and technology dominated the battlefield. Gray had gathered his best ships and crews, but they were fighting with old tactics against an enemy that had revolutionized space warfare. "Target their command ship," Taylor ordered. "Let's finish this." Earth's ships formed new attack patterns that Gray's forces had never seen before. While most species relied on centuries-old tactical doctrines, humans had never stopped innovating, never stopped improving. Gray watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. Ships exploded or drifted powerless in space. The few crews that surrendered were immediately taken into custody by Council allied forces. "This is impossible," Gray muttered as Earth ships surrounded his command vessel. "We were supposed to be superior. We were supposed to be in control." "That was your mistake," Taylor replied over the comm. "You thought superiority came from age, from tradition. You forgot that real strength comes from adaptation, from innovation, from never stopping learning." Gray's command ship hung dead in space, its weapons disabled, its engines destroyed. Earth forces began boarding operations, backed by Council security teams. "Take him alive," Taylor ordered. "He faces trial before the new Council." As security forces breached the bridge, Gray finally understood his fundamental error. He had seen humanity as a young, primitive species playing with borrowed technology. Instead, they had been a sleeping giant, learning, preparing, and waiting for the right moment to reshape the galaxy. The battle was over in less than an hour. Gray's forces were either destroyed, disabled, or surrendered. The last holdout of the old Council regime had finally fallen. Taylor looked at the Earth through his viewport, its shield shimmering with power. "Send word to all Council worlds," he ordered. "The war is over. The future begins now." 1 month after the final battle, the Galactic Council chamber was transformed. Gone was the towering central platform that had elevated the High Counselor above others. Instead, a circular table surrounded by equal seats represented the new balance of power. Ambassador Walker sat between representatives from ancient and emerging species alike. Above them, the crystal dome had been modified to show real-time images from across the galaxy, new trade routes being established, joint scientific projects underway, and combined fleet exercises where species shared their unique approaches to space combat. "The last of Gray's supporters have surrendered," announced the Proxima representative. "Their hidden bases are being converted into research centers, open to all species." Walker nodded. "And the technology sharing program?" "Exceeding all expectations," replied Elder Green, her crystalline form glowing with enthusiasm. "Earth's approach to combining different technological principles has revolutionized our understanding. Who would have thought that studying Earth's ocean life would lead to better, faster-than-light travel?" In Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Taylor watched the Council broadcast while reviewing fleet deployment plans with Commander Ross. The displays showed Earth ships patrolling alongside vessels from dozens of species, each learning from the others. "The Council's old military doctrine is being completely rewritten," Ross reported. "They're finally understanding that the best defense comes from adaptation and innovation, not rigid traditions." Taylor smiled. "And Gray? His trial begins next week. But his testimony has already exposed centuries of manipulation by the old Council leadership. They didn't just hold back technology. They actively suppressed innovation to maintain control." On Mars, Dr. Thomas led a tour through the new Galactic Science Academy. Scientists from hundreds of species worked side by side, freely sharing discoveries that the old Council would have kept secret. By combining Council quantum mechanics with Earth's biological research, Thomas explained to a group of alien students, "We've already developed shields twice as strong as anything previously known. Imagine what we'll discover in the next decade." Back in the Council chamber, Walker stood to address the assembly. 6 weeks ago, Earth fought a war to defend its independence. But our real victory wasn't on the battlefield. Our victory was proving that progress comes from cooperation, not control. The chamber erupted in applause. Even species that had once viewed Earth with suspicion now saw the benefits of the new order. "The old Council thought they could contain Earth," Walker continued. "They saw our adaptability as a threat, but they forgot something important. True strength doesn't come from having the most powerful weapons. It comes from having the wisdom to know when not to use them." In his prison cell, Gray watched the Council broadcast with a mixture of anger and dawning understanding. Earth's forces could have destroyed his fleet in their first encounter. Instead, they had shown restraint, precision, and mercy. They had won not just through superior firepower, but through superior thinking. "We propose a new doctrine," Walker announced to the Council. "No more artificial barriers between species. No more hoarding of knowledge. Every civilization has something to teach and something to learn." The vote was unanimous. The new Galactic Charter guaranteed independence for all species while promoting cooperation and mutual defense. Earth's fleet would help protect emerging civilizations, sharing knowledge rather than hoarding it. In Earth's lunar shipyards, Taylor watched as the first ships of the new combined defense fleet took shape. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, each contributing their unique perspectives to create vessels more advanced than either could have built alone. Was it worth it? Ross asked, standing beside him. All those years of preparation. Taylor looked at the construction crews below. Humans and aliens working together, sharing jokes, solving problems as equals. We didn't prepare for war, he said quietly. We prepared to change the galaxy. The fighting was just the first step. Across space, thousands of civilizations that had once lived in fear of Council suppression now looked to the future with hope. Earth had not just won a war. They had created a new way forward. The age of secrets and suppression was over. The age of cooperation and innovation had begun. And it had all started because the Council had made one simple mistake. They had threatened a species that had spent its entire history learning how to overcome threats, not through brute force, but through intelligence, adaptation, and the wisdom to know that true victory means creating a better future for everyone.